Hello. Sorry, seventh grade, that I can't be there. I did warn you about this, so it shouldn't be coming as a shock to you. But hey, you still have to do some math. We're going to get into finding products of positive and negative fractions and decimals. So we're still just multiplying negatives and positives together. Just instead of them being whole numbers today, they're going to be fractions and decimals. Okay, let's get into this a little bit. We're not going to do the warm up. Multiplying positive and negative numbers. Determine the sign of the product. So if they have the same sign, so if we have a negative and we are multiplying that by a negative, our answer is going to be positive. If we have a positive and we are multiplying that by a positive, our answer is going to be a positive. So if they have the same sign, the answer is always going to be positive. If they have different signs, so if one is a negative and the other one is a positive, regardless of which comes first, our answer will always be negative. Find the product. If working with fractions, put any negative signs in the numerator. So that just means if we have 1/4 and we are multiplying that by a negative 1/2, our answer, the negative sign just sticks with the top. Okay. If you put it out in front like I did for that 1/2, it will totally be completely fine. Just the negative kind of goes with the top number. It doesn't go with both numbers. It just sticks with only the top. Okay, let's get into some examples here. This first one, I did a terrible job of putting this over. Find the value of 4/9, and we are going to multiply that by a negative 3/10. Multiplying fractions, you just go straight across. So you multiply the numerators by each other and you multiply the denominators by each other. So this gets rewritten to look like 4 times a negative 3, and that will be over 9 times 10. I think we touched on this a little bit last year about simplifying out, but you do not have to do that, and I can go over that a little bit more when I come back. But for now, 4 times 3 is going to be, sorry, I don't really have room here. 4 times 3 is going to be this 12. 9 times 10 is 90. We have a positive 4 and a negative 3, so that stays negative. Everyone see that? Okay, then with fractions, you always simplify. You want your fractions in simplest form. That does not mean it has to be in a mixed number. You could have a larger number in the numerator than the denominator. That doesn't matter, but we do simplify it. So both 12 and 90 are divisible by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. We still keep that negative up there because it was there in the beginning. 90 divided by 6 is 15. So our final answer can either be that negative 2 over 15, or like I said, that negative can just be on the outside of both numbers. Both of those mean the same thing. These are synonymous, is sometimes what we call that. Okay, let's try one more example here. Oh man, it did not show any of this. Okay, so this example is negative 5/12, and we are multiplying that by a negative 3/4. A negative times a negative is what? Hopefully everyone was thinking in their head positive. When we have a negative and a negative, or two of the same sign, our answer is going to be positive. So we can kind of just get rid of those negatives. Remember, the two numerators get multiplied by each other. So we have 5 times 3 on the top, and the denominators get multiplied by each other. 12 times 4. 5 times 3, hopefully we're all getting 15 there. 12 times 4 is going to be 48, hopefully. 4 times 10 is 40. 2 times 4 is 8. Yep, 48. Hopefully my mental math was correct there. 15 and 48 kind of don't really look like they have anything in common, but they are both divisible by 3. Seems silly. So we are going to divide both of these by 3 to simplify it. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 48 divided by 3 is 16. And that will be our final answer there. Just as a reminder, when you are multiplying fractions, you just multiply straight across. So both the top numbers get multiplied by each other and both the bottom numbers get multiplied by each other. We do have to talk a little bit about mixed numbers. So this is when, sorry, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. This is when you have something maybe like -3 1/5, and you are multiplying that by a -2 2/3. Although it seems like you can just do 3 times 2 and then multiply the fractions, it does not always come out to the same answer. So the way that they want you to do this in this case is turn them into improper fractions, then multiply them. Then you can simplify it back out to a mixed number if you would like, or you can leave it as an improper fraction. A negative times a negative is hopefully, again, we are all thinking in our heads positive. So we can kind of get rid of those negative signs. When we are converting from a mixed number into improper fraction, we're going to kind of do the C method. So 3 times 5 is 15. And then we're going to add that to 1. 15 plus 1 is 16. The denominator stays the same. We didn't change the denominator at all. So we have 16 over 5, and we are going to multiply that by 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8/3. Okay, hopefully everyone's with me. I got rid of those negative signs, but if you want to keep those negative signs on there, you for sure can. We just know that a negative times a negative is going to be a positive, so we don't really need them there anymore. Okay, so our numerator times our numerator, so we have 16 times 8, and that is going to be over the denominator times the denominator, which is 5 times 3. 16 times 8 is 128, and 5 times 3 is 15. You can leave it like that. You can leave this as your completed answer. If you would like to turn it back into a mixed number, which is a whole number with a fraction next to it, which is what we started this problem with, you want to say 128 divided by 15. It goes in there 8 whole times, and then there are 8 pieces out of those 15 left over. Both of those answers are 100% acceptable. So save yourself the work. Don't do an extra one unless you have to. But totally up to you. I do just want to touch on one other example here before I move on to some decimals. This one is going to be a mixed number, and we're going to divide it by a whole number. So if we have 2 and 5, 6, and we are dividing that by 3 whole numbers, how can we turn those into fractions? If I have 3 wholes, what is something I can do to that 3 whole pies and not change the value in any way, but turn it into a fraction? It was in one of those invisible math sheets we did at the beginning of the year, but any whole number, we can write it over 1 to make it into a fraction so that it makes it easier for us to do this division problem. Again, we are going to do 2 times 8 is 16. We're going to add 5 to that. 16 plus 5 hopefully is 21/8 if my math is mathing with me today. And we are multiplying, Miss Wright. We are multiplying that by 3 over 1. So when we are multiplying, again, we just go straight across. So we're going to have 21 times 3 on the top, and then we'll have 8 times 1 on the bottom. 21 times 3, 3 times 20 is 60. So we'll have 63 on the top and 8 on the bottom. We can then say, I think I did my math wrong on them. 21 times 63. Maybe I did my math here wrong. 2 times 8 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. No, I did my math right. 21. Okay, I am losing my mind. How many times does 8 go into 63? There are going to be 7 in there. 7 times 8 is 56. So 56, so we'll have 7/8 left over, okay? You can leave it like this, the 63/8, or you can convert it into that mixed number of 7 and 7/8. Both of those answers would be 100% acceptable and fine for you to do. Okay, let's look at some decimals here. They are wanting you to write out the long version of it. Again, just ignore the negative and positive signs at the beginning, and just focus on the multiplication first. When you are multiplying decimals, you do not need to line up the decimals. Again, I will repeat it. You do not need to line up the decimals. So in this case, I'm going to make it a little bigger. The problem was negative 3.4, and we are multiplying that by 0.25. 0.25 is the same as 0.25. So when I write this in an algorithm, I'm not going to include that 0 because it just creates extra work. If you want to put the 0 in, feel free. It doesn't change the answer in any way. So we stack our numbers. So you can put 3/4 on the top or 2.25 on the top. It doesn't matter which goes on the top or the bottom. So if we have 0.25 and we are multiplying that by 3.4, again, decimals do not need to line up. Do not need to line up your decimals. You're kind of ignoring them until we get to the product, which is the end result. So we're going to do 4 times 5. That is 20. Carry our 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Now that we are moving over into the next column, we have to add a 0 so that the first number matches up with where this number is above. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm crossing out that 1 because that was from the last time. We just put down the 1s and we carry the 10s. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now we add, so we get 0, 5, 8. Here's where we add back in those decimals. So this is where we think about those decimals. We have to count how many times we have. We have 1, 2, 3 numbers that are to the right of the decimal. Okay, so our answer also needs to be 3 to the right of the decimal. So we get 0.85. Then I'm going to go back up here to my original equation. I have a negative and it's times a positive. They are different signs, so my answer is always negative. If you write it as negative 0.85, that works. Negative 0.85 and negative 0.850. All of those answers are the same value. They are all negative 85 hundredths. They all will say the same thing in their answer. Let's do one more example with decimals, and then you guys are going to get into your practice problems here. Okay, so let's do this one. We have negative 0.4, and you're multiplying that by 6.1. Negative 0.4, negative 4/10 times 6 1/10. Okay, so we are going to stack our numbers. Remember, it doesn't matter where you stack. I personally like stacking the bigger or the more numbers on the top. And we are going to multiply that by 0.4. In this instance, the decimals did line up, but remember, they don't have to line up. They do not have to line up in a multiplication problem. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Then we are going to come up here to our original answers and count how many numbers are behind our decimals. We have 2, 1, and 1. So together that makes 2. So we need to go over 1, 2, starting on the right-hand side. So in this case, our answer will get 2.44. Then we're going to look back up here at our original equation. We have a negative times a positive. They are different signs. So that means our answer will be negative. Hopefully, this helped a little bit to be able to understand the homework a little bit better. Remember, you are multiplying fractions and decimals. When you're multiplying fractions, the numerators get multiplied by each other, and they stay over the denominators, which get multiplied by each other. Today, for your homework, you guys are going to be doing homework page 92, numbers 1 through, let's go to, let's do all the way to 27, but we'll just do the odds. So we're doing problems 1 through 27, the odds. Please put these into your math notebook and get started. Thanks.